Hi everyone. I just started a live and I restarted it because I realized that my internet connection was off, but hopefully this one's better. It's still doing the little circly thing, but I think I'm on. I wanted to share something that I need just as much as anybody else, I think, and I wanted to share it because of that. Sometimes what we really need is to teach something to help it really get ingrained in our hearts and start believing it. Even though we know it in our heads, we don't feel it until we do something with it, right? Either act on it or share it or do something that helps it start to penetrate our hearts. And so this is one of those things. I've been I've had this goal and I usually am pretty good at it. I haven't been so much the last couple weeks, but I just want to get up extra early before my kids get up so I have a couple of hours to do some creative work, where I'll write or well, mostly write, think about things that I want to say for my book or for my course or for these lives or whatever else. And so it's just an important time for me, and I feel connected to God during that time, and I enjoy it. And this morning I was able to get up early for the first time in a little while. I mean, early enough. And and I felt like I wasted a lot of it because of technology issues. And so I'm trying to work on creating a podcast, right? And so I've gotten most of it finished, but just figuring out like Adobe Audition has been tricky, and then figuring out how to like piece different tracks together so that there's like music and all these different things is been hard. And so I kind of worked on it through this morning. I got up extra early, and I felt like I totally wasted the morning because I didn't ever figure it out, and I still don't know what I'm doing. And so I was feeling kind of discouraged when all the kids started waking up and I started getting everyone breakfast, and I just felt like, man, I got up so early and I totally wasted it. And I was feeling kind of discouraged, and it was time to do devotional, so I gathered everyone to do our devotional, and we read a talk, and in the talk it was talking about a story that I'm sure you're familiar with, where Peter is in a boat and he's fishing all night long and he doesn't catch any fish. And then Christ comes on shore and he says, "Cast your net on the other side." And Peter says, "I've been fishing all night. I don't know what that good that's going to do," paraphrasing, of course. And he says, just try it. And so Peter casts his net on the other side and he pulls up so many fishes that the boat, almost overfilled or over tipped over because of the amount of fishes that he had, or amount of fish. And I was just really comforted by this scripture because I'm sure that Peter felt like all night long he just totally wasted his time. He hadn't caught one fish. What a waste of a night. He could have been sleeping and all of these things. But what Christ cared about wasn't the fish. What he cared about was Peter, and Peter developing Peter. And if he had caught a bunch of fish at the beginning of the night, he wouldn't have appreciated them. He wouldn't have seen how miraculous it was. He wouldn't have grown in the way that he needed to grow. And so sometimes when we feel like I've been doing the same thing over and over, and I clean the house and it gets messy, and I do that laundry over and over and over, and it's never done, and I feel like I'm just wasting my time all the time. It's so important to remember that it's not about the things that get done. It's about who we're becoming as we move through life and putting forth the effort. And so if we are putting forth effort in the best way we know how, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not exactly right, even if we don't know what we're doing, it's that effort that helps us grow, just like a muscle, right? Every time we put forth effort in a muscle, it grows. That's just a principle, and it's the same with us. When we're putting forth effort into something, we're growing in the right direction, even if it feels like we're standing still and it feels like we're wasting time. I also thought about this as I was at Zion's this last weekend. If any of you have ever hiked Angel's Landing, it's kind of well, the beginning part of it's like a regular hike, but then you get to the fin at the end, and there's just drop offs on both sides, and there's a chain that you hold on to so that you can kind of keep your balance and you don't fall off the sides of the cliff, right? And as you're going, you have to just learn, and I mentioned this in a little post a little while ago, but you have to learn to trust, right? You have to trust that the chain is sturdy, that the people who are walking by you, sometimes you have to let go of the chain so that people, because the way up is the same as the way down, so people have to go down. So you have to kind of scoot over so that they can go down, then you can hold on to the chain again. So that you have to trust that they're not just going to suddenly have an urge to push you or whatever. And these things kind of run through my mind when I'm scared, right? The worst case scenarios. But I just realized like I need to be willing to trust that God is going to make things turn out for the best, even if I'm weak and even if I don't know what I'm doing. if I'm really putting forth my effort in following him and holding on to that rod or that chain, then I can trust him. And like the view was already there. It was me who needed to get up there to see it. And so God's gifts and everything he has for us is already there. He just wants us to build ourselves to the point where we can see it, we can appreciate it, we can see the view more clearly, right? It's as we grow that we start to see things more clearly, start to see truth more clearly, start to understand who we are more clearly. Things just to become more clarified as we develop and as we grow. So that's what matters, is that effort. And sometimes, I mean, I think what that looks like in real life, right? There's like the daily decisions and like the big decisions you're making in life. And in our daily decisions, if we wake up with a prayer of gratitude every day. I just read this talk called Pray Always by Elder Bednar, which I highly recommend. You can find it on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.org, I think it is. And just type in Elder Bednar, Pray Always. And anyway, in it, he says you get up in the morning and you give a prayer of thanks, and then you say, what can I work on? Like, what was not so good about yesterday? What can I work on? And then you find something. Like, so for me yesterday, it was I needed to use my time better. Sometimes I'm checking Facebook too often, things like that. And then you go through your day, and when you find yourself being tempted by that and resisting that temptation because you asked for help in the morning, you show gratitude that you're able to withstand that and that you used your time in a different way. And at the end of the day, you say, okay, where did I go wrong? How did I do with this or that? What can I work on tomorrow? And it's this continual prayer throughout the day, right? Of gratitude, of help, and of repentance as you're moving through. And then at night you evaluate, you report, you try again. So it's this continual process, right, of effort that we're moving through. But on the other hand, there's also like these big decisions sometimes that feel like they're so heavy and weighing on us and like I have to know now. But we can't see the end. And that's not part of the process, is being able to see the end, because we can't see it until we're there, right? Like when I was on top of Angel's Landing, I could see all around me, but before that, I couldn't see it. It was just impossible for me until I got to that point. And so how do we know how to move forward? And I believe that the key is to do the best we can with what we know at this moment and stop being like paralyzed by perfection. Like I can't move forward until I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, because then we're stuck, right? We don't progress. But if we say, I'm going to move forward in the best way I know with what I know now, even if the fork goes this way and there's another fork that goes this way, they're going to end up at the same spot. Like we had that several times where my husband would go this way and I go this way, and then we'd end up on the same trail, because the effort is what gets us to see where we're going. It's not necessarily the choice we're making. If we're moving forward in the best way we know how, God will like course correct us, and he'll put things and opportunities in our path and ideas to get us right back on that path, because that's we just need to move forward in order to see those things and those ideas and those new ways of thinking. And so I think if we can just remember, like if I'm doing my best with what I know and with my weaknesses, because none of us live up to what we know because of our weaknesses, right? But I'm doing the best with what I know and with my weaknesses, putting forth that effort, then I will start to see, and things will become more clear, and I'm moving in the right direction, even if I feel like I'm running in circles, even if I feel like I wasted all morning. So that was just an important lesson for me to hear today, and I hope it helps you. I listened to this really cool broadcast yesterday. It was our like state women's conference, and she talks a lot about how God's path is, we see it, we think it's going to be linear. Like we have this idea of like, I'm going to do this and then this and then this, and this how my life is going to go. But often, always, I would say, God's plan is more like you do this and then it's going to look a little different than you thought. And then once you see that, then you're going to see a new thing and it's going to look a little different than you thought. And you kind of progress in this very different way than what you thought. But the more you see, the more you can see how that was better than what you previously considered. Way better. And so anyway, I'm going to link that talk or that conference below. You can, there's 2 talks and they're both excellent. So I'd recommend both of them. But they're highly worth watching. It was by, I'm trying to remember her name. She's an artist. Janine, maybe Page. Janine, I think that's it, Janine Page. And our stake president, President Porter, who is always inspiring to listen to. So I'll link that below so that you can hear it. If you're interested, I'd recommend just listening to it as you're doing stuff today, because it was really inspiring. But anyway, I hope that's helpful. I think I might be doing these lives just once a week from for a while anyway, because I've got so many things that I'm working on, right? I got to finish my course, and I've got to start this whole podcast thing, and I am writing another book, and I want to make sure that that gets, so I'm just feeling like I've got to cut out a few things, and some new church responsibilities that I'm also trying to do so that I can focus and move forward. I've kind of written them down in order of priority. And so I feel like if I can kind of still do the things I'm doing, but in a more focused way, that I'll be able to accomplish all the things that I feel inspired to do, which I think is a true principle. Because, like I said, well, I didn't say this, but I was thinking this. When we move forward, God's outcomes are way more than our effort, right? So, like, the outcome we deserve because of our effort is not great because we're so weak. But the outcome that God gives us when we put forth effort is huge. Like, He makes miracles out of our little efforts. And so that's what I am going to try to do, is put forth my little effort and see His miracles, because I know I've seen it over and over in my life that that's what He does. That's what He loves to do, just bless us with so much when we were willing to put forth a little effort and move forward in the best way we know how. So I hope that's helpful, and I will sign off now and talk to you next week.